Good afternoon to all our viewers. Today, I've got a very special guest online with me, Mr. Kiran Varri. He's a CX expert and a digital delivery expert. Kiran, I will let you explain what that means a bit later. But thank you so much for coming on our show today.
My pleasure, Amit. It's wonderful to be invited. At the same time, also get an opportunity to share my thoughts and perspectives with the larger audience. Thank you very much.
And Kiran, also, I have to mention this, that it's been a while since we've been in touch and we've decided to organize this. So I'm really thankful for you to take some time out and come and appear on our podcast here. So
I think it's mutual.
Thank you. Thank you. So just for the sake of our audience, I think it's the first time we are getting someone of the level of expertise that you have on this podcast. And for me as well, it is a massive learning since the time I've been speaking with you. So just for our clients and the people who will be viewing this podcast, would you be able to summarize and tell us a bit more about yourself? What is Kiran Varri? What do you do?
That's a good question. From a coaching space, we generally call it, it's not about what, it's about who. I think that triggers my thought process on that sphere while thinking as an organization also. I think everyone learns from 2004 till date. I can see my journey seems to be reflecting almost like a corporate world where you start, you try several things, some things work, some may not work, but eventually you arrive at those few elements or ingredients that work in your favor all the time. So to me as well, CX ended up being that one thing. So I started as a contact center agent, and later I realized CX was happening then too. And then into a hotel space for almost 11 years. That's where I feel the sense of belongingness, where also it was happening, though it was not, probably I didn't sense it as much. And this all came together only after completing Six Sigma and being in the space for a very long time, almost 10 years. And then moving on, doing lean, and then wondering what to do. Then Scrum happened. Then because Scrum happened, Agile happened. These were kind of answers to the challenges faced in the Six Sigma space. And then design thinking happened. And the human-centric problem-solving aspect of that caught my fancy because I saw Six Sigma as a measurement way of improving or solving things. Whereas design thinking looks at everything having the customer at the center, at the core. After this is when I had to go through this long, a deep process of trying to understand who am I, or who I like to be for the rest of the career. That's when CX struck, saying that through the career, that was the common factor. That's triggered me to take up the CCXP credential because that's something being recognized as a validation. I think remain to be as passionate, but that's more like a validation. And today, I have more or less committed, and I don't think this will change for the rest of my career, to stay focused on adding value through CX and its cousins, brothers, and sisters, what we can say, concepts around it. Same I see is happening with many organizations who also eventually realize that nothing is more important than keeping the customer at the center of focus of their business all the time.
There are two things that I picked up there while you were speaking this. So first thing that I picked up was design thinking. Could you expand a bit more on that? What is it? It's and like I said, I'm learning as well. So it is the first time that I've come across this particular phrase put up that way. So could you elaborate a bit on that? What was that?
I think the foundations of design thinking were there for a very long time, but it became popular in the last probably 10, 20 years. Because design thinking in particular, one has customer at the center of everything they do. That means design for the customer.
Okay.
And not design a product and try to sell it to the customer. And there is a step-by-step process also for that, which starts with empathize. Because any business which doesn't empathize with their customer, their journey will definitely not be too long, even if it happens. So design thinking keeps the customer at the center, like how Six Sigma looks at seeing everything from a measurable lens.
Okay.
Whereas in design thinking, they rather choose to start with empathize, and then there is a step called define, ideate, I think prototype, test, and then repeat this activity. Interesting part about design thinking is it's not a linear process.
Okay.
People can go crisscross through these steps. And the most important thing that happens in design thinking is iteration. Nothing is perfect, right? Keep on iterating and till it reaches closest to its best. But by then, the environment and the customer behavior has already changed. You continue to do this process all the time. So IDEO is, I think, one of the brand which brought design thinking to the world, and a lot of design thinking solutions you can see definitely in IKEA and several other businesses where the focus is customer first.
So from what you're saying there, it is like an evolution. It goes on all the time. You cannot just stop at one point and say, I have achieved 100% customer experience. Now I'm going to sit back and enjoy.
We wish businesses would love to have it that way, but I don't think the environment permits anymore. We are in a world today, we are talking about what's the gap between the launch of ChatGPT to the launch of ChatGPT 5, I think, right?
Okay.
So it's now the change seems to be in a month, and it is happening as we speak in front of our eyes. I started an AI update article, and yesterday I had to put that line as anticipated in the beginning. This space is transformational, and the same thing is happening with consumer behavior too.
Okay. Now I'm asking these questions from someone who deals with customers. So from a customer experience or a customer service point of view. So I would need some assistance, or or even our listeners would like to know your thoughts on this. There is a lot of customer service tools available out there. How do you select one, and how do you select which is the right for your process or for your customer? What would be the starting point for that?
Has to be ease of use.
Okay.
It is intuitive. I can look at it and start making sense out of it. It's likely to work.
Okay.
Second is, while that is important, functionality. If it doesn't take care of all the job that it needs to do, then it is an incomplete product. Iterations might help, but at the same time, at least it started its journey as an incomplete product. And the third one is, how long would it last? This solution, how long would it support the business? Aren't we seeing where businesses are investing in something?
Yeah.
Within 3 months, 6 months, it's becoming obsolete.
Mhm.
That seems to be the reality, but businesses still want to have a solution that stays long. It is important for sure for any startup idea. I think it has to travel through the lens of a customer. And one of the best ways to learn about a customer, though often we say is interviews, is not interviews, observe them.
Okay.
And if the solution is something that can be tested or put it in their hands to use it, it's great. Unlike if it is something that hasn't been seen by any customer or any user so far in the world, then that can become a little bit complex. Then you may want to go do a, you can say, trial testing with a smaller group of audience and collect feedback from them. Otherwise, given a chance, if you want to first understand whether your customer needs this solution, observe them in doing something related to that.
Okay.
And if yes, if you feel that it will support them, then go to the next step of trying to do a prototype, keep it in their hands, and see how they would respond to it.
Okay.
Might help.
Okay, let me talk to you from measurement point of view, because at the end of the day, we all want to measure customer experience, we want to measure customer success, we want to measure customer service. Can you talk me around, or would you like to give us your insight on what type of data should companies be using, or what is it that we have an over reliance on? If there are any traps there that we should be aware of, because numbers can, as you know, numbers can sometimes look wonderful, or some numbers can sometimes not look wonderful. Is that a true reflection of customer experience?
I think you made a valid point. While measurables are very important, the unmeasurable things that can be sensed also are equally important. You can call them unstructured feedback and so on. So pick it up from different cues. There is some, I think, some businesses use called what is that, sentiment analysis and so on. So while yes, every business should try to have some sort of a measurable, the outcome metrics, or you can see, you can identify these metrics that will be kind of gives you a sense of relativity, last month to this month and so on. That said, I think business should always be all ears to every other way in which your customer is speaking. Because you are attempting to try to grab their feedback through certain channels. But there are many other channels where the customer speaks, but you may not end up capturing. It's like, let's say, a friend's chat, you capture that. Or a billboard that you placed on the highway. How do you know how effective it was? But yes, I think the name of the game here is, I think, for the business to have a very deep intent.
Mhm.
And once the deep intent is there, they will travel beyond metrics. Metrics are the easier part. And then they will start having their antennae out. And I'm talking not only from the leadership. If it's a great company with a great culture, every team member have their antenna out. And they will start feeding the system what they are hearing about their brand, their product, service. And if all of this is put together in some form, I think they will go beyond what their competition ever has gone. That will give, like, that is likely to give them the competitive edge, is what I can say.
No, thank you. Thank you. That makes absolute sense as well. At the end of the day, you are so right. I think some companies are so fixed on these numbers and metrics that they forget. It is like having the blinders on. You forget what's happening overall. It is just you look at a few numbers, there are a few metrics, and you completely put all your effort into improving those without having to consider others there. So,
Has those moments all the time. Mostly restaurants are a great place where you try to measure how quickly they served and XYZ. But the
mhm,
point, there's always be variable factors there. Like, for example, there is a child,
mhm,
there was someone who was handicapped, or someone, and these are all special cases.
mhm,
And if the supervisor there fails to notice that, they may be they may mislead themselves into making interpretations on few team members which are absolutely wrong. So that means, that's where I said that presence and intent, I think this comes from the coaching space. If
yeah,
your presence and intent is there while you are at that workplace, and all out, because none of us today can separate work part of ourselves from a personal part, though we wish it's that way. You will always be having these on the hindsight. When you are at home, the work is on the probably the back of the head. When you are at work, the home is back of it, but it's not gone. So
yeah.
I feel that brand should encourage the team members to catch people doing the right as well as wrong, and have these as factors beyond measurables for their own good.
Okay. Okay. No, fair enough. That's a good point there as well. Now, one question, that's a personal question from me as well, because just like everybody else, I come to work on a daily basis, and there are some things that I follow, there are some things that I do. I serve my customers, or I'm speaking to my customers. I'm engaging with them through various channels for telephone, mobile, emails, chat, etc., etc. How can I keep up with the trends which are coming around these days? So trends in customer service, trends in customer experience, because on a day-to-day basis, it seems that a lot of people are getting so much overwhelmed, that they're getting so overwhelmed with all the work that they're doing, that they don't have this time set out where you can go and improve yourself and get some more knowledge, because there's a lot of good practices happening around us. We are not even aware of it. And then someone like yourself, an expert, comes in and has got all the ideas of how to improve things, and they tell you know what, that's what they're doing, and you think and you say, hey, why didn't I think about it? It is such a simple thing. So just to put that question short is, how do people keep up to date with what the trends are these days?
It's a good one. I think that's what is going to be the next major skill one must have if they want to see another 5 years. I think 5 years is a long term of their career, themselves relevant at least for the next 5 years.
Okay.
Learning, I think, has become a mandatory part of our life. It was not so in the past. Our parents, they could just do an ITA or a degree and then work in that organization for a lifetime. No worries. But now, what we are seeing outside in terms of the demand for new skills and the pace at which existing skills are becoming obsolete,
Mhm.
one has to keep the ball rolling in terms of the learning. Yesterday, I think I was speaking to a friend in the car when same topic came. How I would be more interested in LinkedIn learning
Mhm.
than in Amazon Prime, Netflix for my own good. And if I am not, then I cannot blame anyone for that tomorrow. You will be surprised. There are individuals who who are making that mistake of not keeping themselves up to date. When I was training a student, it came out that she was not aware of Tesla.
Okay.
She was not aware of who Elon Musk was, though she is in a banking customer care space. Think of it. What's happening with ChatGPT and what it can do to the customer care space of a banking industry.
Yeah.
I think everyone, for their own good, now have to subscribe to the identity of a lifelong learner. Else, I think we are talking about 3 years at the best of career. Yes, lucky are those where the organization invests in them, but it's not the organization's job. Let's put it very straight and blunt. It is my responsibility to keep my learning curve up and running. It's a bonus if an organization also invests into me. So I would say, an alarm, or you can say I would forewarn that for all who listening to this episode, definitely revisit your strategy on your learning. And that's also opens a golden opportunity to tilt the direction towards the area where you are passionate about. Isn't it beautiful then? You got a chance to, you are required to learn, and you chose to use that opportunity to change your direction of your career into a stream that you always have been passionate about, but couldn't for any reason align with that space. So win-win situations can emerge from this so-called perceived difficult situation of I'm having to upskill myself all the time.
I think you a fair point, a very fair point, because a lot of times when people are applying for jobs and looking for jobs, the main two criteria would be, the work-life balance and salary, or how much am I getting paid? The last point on someone's head is, what, should I also ask the question to my employees, how are you going to help me upskill myself? And maybe, as you said, it is the individual's responsibility, but if companies are taking the time out to invest in their employees who are their resources, then there's nothing like it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They are lucky. The organization also is doing that bit.
Absolutely. So for the listeners, keep that in mind when you do apply for the next job or you're looking for the new role. Try to improve yourselves as well. Okay. You have mentioned this quite a few times now since we had the conversation. So I just thought I'll bring this up. ChatGPT or AI. Let's bring up AI. What is happening with AI and customer experience is still a question out there, which a lot of listeners do email, message, and talk about. So from your perspective, what is happening with AI and customer experience? What would you like to say to that?
It's a very interesting and a deep question indeed. See, customer experience, we all want the best, and I want the answer here and now, isn't it?
Yes.
But often when you call a bank today, I'm taking a bank example, dial 1 for 2 for 3 for 5 for 9 for 9 actually is the one way to talk to the associate, so that the bank also knows to keep you engaged. Keep the option of and there's a new trick also in that they say, please listen carefully. Our menu options have changed. So if we change that to current context of looking at Chat GPT or AI as an opportunity, I might be able to get an answer to my question under 2 minutes. Am I not happy as a customer? Absolutely happy. Now, there could be a complicated question where I think bots failed, where I have to tell bot, this is not in any of the options that you're offering me. Please connect me to an agent. And the bot doesn't relate with it. So in an AI enabled customer experience environment, I see a win-win where the organization is able to serve more of their customers in a shorter span of time, and the customer is able to get better quality responses. And yes, the moment the customer senses or sees the AI tool is not able to solve the matter for them, I'm sure the AI should be able to swiftly transfer this individual to an agent, next available agent. Thereby, even then the customer is happy that now an individual takes over the query and have it addressed for me at the earliest. And I believe the verification processes also will become faster, smoother, and efficient. Because often if they ask me, what is your last transaction on your bank card? I say, excuse me, do you expect me to search my SMSs to say, what's the last transaction? And if voice is going to be real recognition, probably we would not need, I'm probably jumping the gun, we will probably not need any verification, it will identify me by my voice.
That is right. But a lot of people are also fearful of technology. I shouldn't say technology or AI, but a lot of fearful of change. There is always a resistance to change. So, in that sense, what you just said, kind of, I can summarize that as AI complements customer service. It is not there to replace all the humans there, because at some point you will require that human interface. But for all those boring, monotonous phases in the customer experience where you would like to be speaking to someone or you would like instant information, that's where AI can come in.
I think
Go on.
Amit, you pointed out something about boring. That is where AI will make life better. Though we are talking about job losses and that's worrying some. Human beings have always adapted. If there is a shuffle, they will definitely find new ways and means to create jobs. For all you know, the same organization, I'm talking about a BPO, which was serving 50 clients, will now be able to serve 200 clients.
Mm-hmm.
So where is this risk of the number of agents per client reduces, so there will be a job loss? No, in fact, the cost probably will become lesser. So more brands will jump on the bandwagon to say, I will also now have a 24/7 customer care.
Correct.
So I see. And what are they solving? The boring routine ones are already being addressed by the AI.
Yeah.
You are attending to the quality ones and the ones which are complicated, complex, and finding innovative and new age solutions, which will make it enriching for the agent too.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. You make a very good point there, because again, when in my business or in my day, this is what I face a lot. Is a lot of customers who come, they've already made decisions, and then they're trying to rectify, they're trying to correct those. So if there's a way, then they can catch those right in the beginning, then it becomes a lot easier. That is the crux of it. I think this is why when we are discussing the same thing with our customers as well, we do say, and I think there's also an expectation that AI should be 100% right. At times, if it's AI, it should come out right all the time. But what I kind of put it across on this, again, I've heard this from someone, I'm repeating their line. So what they said is that your weather prediction is done by AI, right? And weather prediction is not 100% right. So it is just a tool to assist you predict what the weather is going to be today. And similarly, AI for me is a tool that will help customer service and customer experience agents and managers going forward there. Kiran, just to start with, before we actually started the podcast and we were having a conversation, you mentioned two really interesting words, which were digital delivery. Now, my question to you is this: how much of your time are you spending on this? Is it something that has caught on? You're getting a lot of inquiries from your customers or clients regarding or around this topic?
Good point. While I have been involved in the digital space for the last 3 years, and the jump into that space also was by chance, because the organization needed me to take care of the digital side of the business, that is primarily digital marketing and looking at some digital projects that were in the pipeline, small ones like web development, or for the burger chain we were working with. We plan to revisit the whole website and at the same time the offerings with an option to buy purchase online. So this situation required me. Initially, I was apprehensive. A Six Sigma business excellence professional, why should I be interested in digital marketing? But then I realized that learning is the only way forward. So I invested and got acquainted with the digital landscape.
Mhm.
And this is one of the reason why I don't call myself as a digital transformation expert, because I sense that journey is still on. Probably once I reach that point, maybe I can refer to that terminology. Meanwhile, I started using the word digital because I'm well familiar with the landscape.
Mhm.
I can sense, I was able to sense how good the initiative, or you can say the digital investment, was doing good to the organization. Because often we just sometimes invest for the sake of investing, and it will actually become a burden later because you have to keep it updated also all the time. So my focus was always about investing optimum in an optimum manner where there is a proven ROI, and keep that part updated. Whether it was the option for a customer to buy online, or it was a project where we were trying to build a web portal for a sports academy that was within the organization. So these initiatives, the focus, what stood out was to make sure that the investment was not for what you can say show off, or you can call it as without a clear validation of what's utility will it bring to the business.
Mhm.
So that's where I could one day, after I think almost 1.5 years, arrive at this term of digital delivery. That at the moment, I realized I'm a safe pair of hands to take care of any small to medium sized project in the digital space. And how would I excel at it? Purely starting with curiosity, talking to the vendors, understanding what they say this will do to the business. And there are peers, right, who have done a similar exercise. Relate it with what they say, with what is happening in the market, with someone who implemented that solution.
Mhm.
Have multiple conversations thereafter to make sure that what we all agree is doable and is also done within the stipulated time. Because even if we trust them
Mhm.
and they say, leave it to us, we will deliver,
Mhm.
at the end, when they fail to deliver, it's not just about money that is lost, but time. A lot more has gone into it apart from money. So that's where it's a journey for me still. That's why I call myself as a digital delivery professional who can support organizations in their small to medium sized digital initiatives, and hopefully someday the digital transformation part will come. Just to add, that familiarity also got me curious about the solutions, digital solutions in the CRM space. So that's where I try to invest in understanding how is a Salesforce solution different from a Zoho's or HubSpot and so on. Though I have not got a chance to be deep, explore at a deeper level, hands-on, but thanks to YouTube and several other reviewers clips that help me to relate how these solutions are different, and also understand what is the reality versus what typically is sold as a promise.
Okay, I think we haven't got too much time left before we end the podcast here. So I'm just going to ask you a couple more questions, very short ones. Elevator pitch, right? We're in an elevator, just an elevator pitch, which is what is it you think that customers are not doing right when it comes to customer service or customer experience these days? Some like a trend, is there something common that you find that's not occurring or happening the way it should?
I believe you refer to that what businesses are not getting right with customer experience part.
That's right, yeah.
I think businesses are one thing that is taking away the attention is the obsession with technology. Often technology is placed first, and then you are looking at where can this technology being applied. That would not work. It would always be glued on to your customer
Mhm.
and be in their shoes all the time, and never make this mistake that I know my customer. I hear it very often.
Yeah.
I know my customer. Trust me, no one can claim I know my customer. Always be humble, keep your ears to the ground so that you can keep on listening to the customers, and that alone can turn to your competitive advantage, because technology is available for all, right, yourself and your competitors. But what is not available to all is that opportunity to listen carefully to what the customer is saying in spoken words
Mhm.
and even in what is not spoken. Then that will give them the opportunity to lead their comp set.
Kiran, such an excellent point. I've heard this and experienced this so many times where a company will introduce a technology and then expect customers to get along with it. You know, what
That
you
rarely
say
happens.
makes so much sense is look at what the customer actually wants, then introduce a technology that will help them rather than what you think then.
And it saves you money, by the way. When you do it that way, you only have to implement that part of the technology implementation.
Okay.
Technology is a great facilitator and enabler, but never starting.
And one last question now from my end, which would be, how do you prioritize as well when it comes to data? So you get a lot of data, a lot of metrics that are telling you how your customer service or customer experience is there any way, I'm sure you probably, it will be that it depends on every business, but is there anything that businesses can do these days to prioritize that data? So this data I'll look at first, this is not so important. Is there anything like that?
The organization, where see, we are blessed with a lot of data. Actually, it's becoming a burden for many.
Yeah.
The best way is one, have the data collected in a consistent manner
Okay.
through and through, because that's going to be useful for you for even after 10 years.
Okay.
if it still is of some utility. However, the focus of the organization can change every year, right? One
Yeah.
year can be seen as a year of expansion. One year can be seen as a year of only quality. And one year can be about increasing your ticket size. So when the quality of data collection is good, reiterate that has to be, that's the basic hygiene matter. Then, depending on what is priority for the organization in that particular year, metrics should be identified, and those can remain on the focus, on the radar, on the dashboards, prominently published, so that they get the maximum attention. And there's a popular saying, right? Bring visibility to the problem and half the problem is solved.
Yeah.
There you will achieve the success, half the journey is already done. The rest of the metrics, while they were still there, they're still being captured. They can get their share of attention when they become priority to the organization. I see that way. Not to overload the teams with anything more than 3 to 5 key performance indicators, and most of your team will align with your that year's goals and objectives.
Okay. So in short, just keep it simple. Just that's what.
Oh, I can't emphasize more. They say that KISS principle.
Yeah.
Keep it short and simple, and it will become easy for everyone in the organization.
Okay. So that is pretty much the end of the serious questions that I had for you. What we have on the podcast is also a bit of a trivia towards the end. So I've got these 5 random questions of would you rather. Okay. And you can just tell me whatever comes to your mind first. Okay. So my first question to you is, would you rather have universal respect or unlimited power?
I would go with the first one, period. Universal respect.
Okay, I thought you'd probably say that as well. Okay, the next one. Would you rather be a royalty 1,000 years ago or be an average person today?
The power is here and now, so I would rather be that common man today.
You'd be today. Okay. Now, this is more related to the holiday. So would you rather lounge by the pool or on the beach?
I think beach is better. It's more natural and sustainable.
Okay. So next question is going to be quite tricky for you if you like natural. Would you rather live in a tree house or in a cave?
Tree house. I think that's being more in connection with the nature. Cave can be a little bit, we'll say, claustrophobic or suffocating.
Yeah, fair enough. And the last one that I have is, would you rather spend a week in the forest or one night in a real haunted house?
The first one. Haunted houses don't work with me.
No, thank you. Thank you, Kiran. Thank you for that. Thank you for your time once again. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. And I'm sure, if I do get more questions around this, I'll definitely be asking our listeners to contact you directly to get any idea. And we'll take it from there. But no, thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for your time and the opportunity, Amit. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Take care. Thank you for watching this video in our podcast series. Please do let us know in the comments whether you like the video or if you have any suggestions. We have an amazing list of guests lined up for you in the coming few weeks. Please do like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you and see you soon. Bye-bye.